Hey cuties, what's up? We are back with some more reactions after dark, and we are of course going to be watching. She secretly hated her family, so she planned their last dinner, the Gatha Mushroomers, obviously by Dark Asia with Megan. Now, I was going to do her previous video because I was just going to go in order, but I started watching the first one, or not the first one, but the one she posted before this one. I was like, okay, this is too much too fast. It's a really messed up thing. Like, immediately just messed up, and I'm like, okay, let's just go to the next one. I think we need something a bit more, a bit less. I don't even know what to say. I just didn't need to do that one. Question mark. But yeah, we're just doing Dark Asia today, just to have something quick to do. Since yesterday we obviously streamed for like what 3+4 hours, the Game Awards, and I just want to do something fast today. We're probably just gonna get straight into it. I don't have anything else to say. There's no hater segment today. There's not gonna be a radical break, of course, because this video is gonna be too short for that. We're just going in it. Obviously, disclaimer: viewer discretion is advised. Who knows what's gonna be here?
It was supposed to be just lunch. On a quiet Saturday afternoon in July 2023, in a small Victorian town of Leongatha, a family gathered around a dining table. By the next morning, 4 people were fighting for their lives in hospital beds across Victoria. Within a week, 3 of them would be dead. What
Okay, so one lived? Question mark.
happened in that modest home would become one of Australia's most disturbing criminal
Australia.
cases. A story of trust, betrayed in the most intimate of settings, where the line between accident and intention would be fiercely contested in court.
Kind of weird to be doing an Australia story. I mean, this is Dark Asia with Megan. I'm pretty sure Australia is not considered Asian, right?
This is the Leongatha poisoning case.
Unless I misheard her. She wasn't talking about Australia, she was talking about something else.
A family gathered for lunch. Nothing fancy, just a peaceful Saturday afternoon meal in a small Australian town.
Oh, Australia.
But July 29th, 2023 didn't end the way anyone expected. In the town of Leongatha, Victoria, 50-year-old Erin Patterson was in her kitchen, preparing an elaborate family lunch. On the menu, beef Wellington, with its golden pastry, rich meat, and glossy brown sauce. The kind of meal that would bring a family back together. But hidden inside those layers was something invisible and deadly, Amanita phalloides, the death cap mushroom.
Oof.
One of the most toxic mushrooms in the world. Even a small amount can destroy a liver beyond repair. Around her dining table sat people who trusted her, Dawn and Gail Patterson, both 70, her estranged husband's parents. Gail's sister Heather Wilkinson, 66, and her husband Ian, 68. They were family, people who had shared hundreds of meals together over the years. Erin's estranged husband, Simon, was invited but didn't show.
I wasn't expecting it just to be a bunch of elderly people. I thought it would be like not young, but at least middle-aged, question mark, not just everyone's grandparents.
The children, she later said, were at the movies. The lunch seemed ordinary enough. Conversation, laughter, maybe even hope, that old wound.
The biggest thing is she wanted everyone to show up, and a lot of people just didn't, because their kids would have been there too if they weren't doing something.
Could start to heal. But within hours, everything changed. By the next morning, all 4 guests were fighting for their lives, rushed to different hospitals across Victoria, each showing signs of acute liver failure. Doctors initially thought severe food poisoning, maybe gastroenteritis, but the symptoms didn't fit, and the patients weren't improving. They were getting worse. And tests confirmed everyone's worst fear, mushroom poisoning, the kind that medicine rarely saves. Doctors worked through the night, but the damage was already too deep. Dawn Patterson received a liver transplant, but even that couldn't undo what had been done. In a small town where everyone knew everyone, whispers started spreading. How could—
Really? That's unfortunate. Like, used the liver to try to save him, it still died. I don't know if they can recover that or not, but it's, again, this shouldn't have happened in the first place. Like, what did these people do in her mind to her for her to want to get rid of the entire family? And not just them, because again, I feel like someone else would have been there, like a husband maybe, and then kids too. Like, hello?
could this happen, and why? By August 4th, Gail Patterson and Heather Wilkinson had passed away in the hospital. The next day, Dawn Patterson died despite desperate efforts to save him. Only Ian Wilkinson survived, though the weeks that followed were harrowing. He spent over 7 weeks in hospital, including 3 weeks in intensive care at Austin Hospital in Melbourne. He was finally—
Okay, well, was his liver just stronger, or just didn't eat as much mushrooms as the others? Question mark. Like, what was it that made it so that he didn't die? And is his liver ever going to recover? He's already old, so you'd only imagine that he's still going to, like, that shorten his life by a huge percentage of what little that he had already left.
Finally discharged on September 23rd, 2023, but the shadow of that day never left him. During this unfolding horror, Erin herself showed up at Leongatha Hospital, complaining of stomach pain and diarrhea, the same symptoms her guests had suffered. But she repeatedly refused admission. On August 1st, just days after the lunch, she left against medical advice. Her actions puzzled doctors and raised more questions than answers. Victoria police launched a full investigation. What began as confusion soon took a darker turn, and suspicions pointed clearly toward Erin. Not a victim of circumstance, but a possible perpetrator. Erin told multiple conflicting stories. She initially denied owning a dehydrator. When police recovered it, it had her fingerprints and contained remnants of death cap mushrooms. CCTV footage captured her dumping it. She admitted buying the dehydrator, but denied knowing death cap mushrooms had been in it when she disposed of it at the Kunwara transfer station on August 2nd, 2023, just as her guest lay dying in hospital. In statements to police, Erin admitted buying dried mushrooms from an Asian supermarket months earlier. She insisted she never meant to harm anyone. But when
Is that why we're saying this is like on the Dark Asia channel? Because she's saying she bought them from an Asian market?
health authorities urgently tried to trace the source, she couldn't identify the store. Even more troubling were the digital traces. Searches on her devices showed detailed research on death cap mushrooms, how to identify and prepare them. Information no ordinary cook would look up. Witnesses described small, unusual behaviors during the lunch. She would use different colored plates, separating her own food from her guests. Ian Wilkinson testified that the 4 guests ate from large gray plates, while Erin ate from an orangey tan plate. A quiet, almost imperceptible act that now suggested careful planning. She factory reset her phone multiple times in August 2023, later testifying that, "I knew that there were photos in there of mushrooms and the dehydrator, and I just panicked and I didn't want detectives to see them." Through it all, Erin maintained her innocence. She said panic, fear, and worry about being blamed explained her odd behavior and inconsistent statements. Meanwhile, Leongatha struggled to process what had happened. 3 beloved elders were gone. 1 survived, but forever scarred, and the betrayal had occurred in the most intimate of settings, around a table that should have been safe. What the public didn't know during the trial was that this wasn't the first time someone had become mysteriously ill after eating food Erin had prepared.
And not even a first offense. And again, this should also be attempted as well, because I mean, one guy got away, so it is attempted. But the kids who would have been there, the other person who would have been there too.
Evidence suppressed during the trial but unsealed afterward revealed a chilling pattern. Her husband Simon Patterson had been hospitalized 3 separate times between November 2021 and September 2022 after eating meals Erin had cooked. In November 2021, Simon fell critically ill after eating pasta bolognese Erin had prepared. He was hospitalized and deteriorated so rapidly that doctors told Erin, who, as his wife, had medical decision-making authority, that he would likely die even with emergency surgery. He fell into a coma and required part of his bowel to be surgically removed. He spent 24 days in hospital. In September 2022, during a walk together, Erin brought Simon a pre-made vegetable wrap. She ate the same ingredients, but without the pita bread wrap. Within minutes of eating it, Simon began feeling sick. By the time the ambulance arrived, he was slurring his words and progressively losing muscle function. By the end of the journey, all I could move was my neck, my tongue, and lips, and I could see. He later testified in sealed proceedings. A medical expert's report commissioned for the trial stated that Simon's symptoms across these incidents were consistent with the ingestion of barium carbonate, an ingredient in rat poison. Doctors were
Because she was even like trying to be stealthy about it there. She's just putting rat poison in his food. With like the last attempt was with mushrooms, which you could argue she could have gotten away with, but not really, because just people dying out of nowhere doesn't make any sense, right? They would try to figure out what it is that's killing them. It's kind of like how messed up this guy now, if he's even still alive. Her husband, you know, part of his bowels being moved. Was put into a state of barely being able to talk. And I'm assuming there's a third part, or is that what before or after? Because I think they said this happened to him 3 times at least. So how much of this guy's lifespan is gone because of this
never
lady?
able to definitively determine the cause of his illnesses at the time. This evidence
Yeah, because you might assume that because of what happened originally, that this is just correlated to that original event, and it's like, oh, there's just something wrong with him, but we don't know what's wrong with him, and he'll just, who knows when he'll have another episode. But when in reality, it's just because he's being poisoned over and over again.
evidence was kept from the jury during Erin's murder trial for the lunch poisonings, but it painted a disturbing picture. If the prosecution's theory was correct, Erin had been attempting to kill her husband for nearly 2 years before that fateful family lunch. By November 2nd, 2023, Victoria police formally charged Erin Patterson with 3 counts of murder and multiple counts of attempted murder.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It had to be just some attempted in there.
To her husband Simon Patterson were later dropped. This was no longer about accident or misfortune. This was deliberate. To understand how this happened and why, we will have to first look into
Yeah, I
who she
would like to know
was.
why.
Born Erin Trudy Scudder on September 30th, 1974, she grew up in the Melbourne suburb of Glen Waverley with her sister Kaynwyn. Her father, Aiton Scudder, worked in government service, and her mother, Dr. Heather Scudder, was a respected literature lecturer at Monash University and an expert in children's literature. Erin was known for intelligence and discipline. She worked as an accountant and, at times, as an air traffic controller, but she remained reserved, emotionally guarded, often keeping to herself. In her testimony, Erin revealed she had struggled with body image and eating disorders since childhood. When I was a kid, Mom would weigh us every week to make sure we weren't putting on too much weight, she told the court. She engaged in binge eating and purging from her 20s onward, though she said no one knew. In 2004, while working in animal management for the RSPCA at Monash City Council, she met Simon Patterson, an engineer at the same council. They began dating, and in July 2006, she inherited approximately $2 million from her grandmother's estate, paid out over 8 years beginning in 2007. That same year, on June 2nd, they married in a ceremony held under a marquee at Don and Gail's Corumba home. Simon's cousin David Wilkinson walked her down the aisle. Erin's parents didn't attend. She said they were traveling across Russia by train. The couple moved to Western Australia, living in Perth, York, and Pemberton. Erin had a secondhand bookshop in Pemberton, while Simon worked for local councils. Their first child, a son, was born in January 2009. Erin described the birth as very traumatic, requiring an emergency cesarean, and said she developed a mistrust of doctors afterward. Gail and Dawn came to stay with them after the birth, and Erin remembered being really relieved that Gail was there because I felt really out of my depth. But that relationship began to deteriorate. Just 4 months after their son was born, Erin flew home alone from Townsville during a cross-country trip, leaving Simon to drive their baby back to Perth by himself. It would be the first of many separations. The couple underwent marriage counseling, reconciled, and had a second child, a daughter, in 2014. That same year, they purchased a home in Corumba to be closer to Simon's family. But by late 2015, after multiple separations and reconciliations, they separated permanently, reaching a financial settlement.
Okay, so they're actually divorced now, question mark. I was assuming that she just keeps trying to get rid of him as they're still together, but has she been trying to get rid of him after they're divorced? Like, if you're already not together anymore, like, why even are you trying to kill him?
When asked about the split, Erin said the key issue was communication. We just couldn't communicate well when we disagreed about something, she told the jury. Despite the separation, they remained on seemingly friendly terms, sharing custody of their 2 children, and even going on family holidays together to places like South Africa, Botswana, Darwin, New Zealand, and South Australia. Erin's father died from cancer around 2011, and in 2019, her mother also died from cancer. Erin and her sister Kaynwyn inherited their parents' estate, which included a $900,000 beachfront retirement home in Eden, New South Wales. Erin's share allowed her to provide interest-free loans to Simon's 3 siblings, including a $300,000 loan to his brother Matt to build a house. She owned multiple properties, including her Leongatha home and a villa in Mount Waverley. The couple's relationship took a sharp turn in 2022 when Erin discovered Simon had listed himself as separated on his tax return for the first time.
Haven't they been divorced for years? Question mark. I feel like he should have been doing that way earlier than 2022.
Whether it was an accountant's error or deliberate, the change meant Erin became ineligible for government child support payments. Their previously amicable communication deteriorated. Erin escalated the issue to Don and Gail, hoping they would encourage Simon to change his behavior regarding school fees and medical bills.
How old are these kids? Because they look really old. I mean, not really old, but they look old enough for their quote-unquote kids to be in their 20s. Potentially, question mark. It's just, when did they get together and start having kids? Not until 30, 40? 'Cause they look like they're 40, 50. If not even older. I mean, she doesn't look that old. But how do they have still such young kids despite looking so old?
But Don and Gail took Simon's side. In December 2022, Erin sent messages to friends in an online true crime Facebook group, where she was known as the group's Super Sleuth, complaining about her deadbeat partner and his lost cause family. She posted about Don messaging her to say he and Gail didn't want to get involved in financial matters, adding what prosecutors claimed was an eye-rolling emoji. By the time she moved to Leongatha following her separation, Erin lived a mostly quiet, secluded life, raising her 2 children, tending a well-kept garden, and cultivating a meticulous approach to cooking and foraging, skills she had developed during the COVID-19 lockdown starting in 2020. She joined Facebook groups to identify mushrooms, and told the court she eventually felt confident enough to taste some she'd foraged. They tasted good, and I didn't get sick, she said. The victims Don and Gail Patterson and Gail's sister Heather were people Erin had known intimately for years. They were active in the local church, known for warmth and volunteerism, a stark contrast to Erin's growing isolation. Though she occasionally invited them to gatherings for the sake of her children, underlying tensions were quietly building. According to Simon's brother Matthew, Erin had missed several family events in the 2 years leading up to the lunch, and when she did attend, it was only briefly. She testified that she felt snubbed when she received a late invitation to Gail's 70th birthday celebration around May 2023. Neighbors recalled Erin's solitary walks, obsessive focus on cooking, and moments of abrupt withdrawal from social interactions. From the outside, she appeared reserved and attentive to her children, blending into small town life.
It's like, where do we get to like trying to get rid of all these people though? Getting rid of her family, because it still doesn't make sense. She's just minding her own business out in the middle of nowhere, right, with her kids. Why do you need to get rid of your family? Question mark. Like you're not really seeing them. They're not really inviting you, allegedly. So, what's the problem?
But behind that calm facade, a complex mess of intellect, emotional fragility, and simmering resentment was quietly shaping her path. The prosecution presented a picture of meticulous planning. Erin had purchased a food dehydrator in April 2023. That same month, a local pharmacist had spotted death cap mushrooms growing under oak trees near Locke and documented them on the iNaturalist website, which is a citizen science platform where users share nature observations. Phone location data placed Erin in the area of Locke that same month.
Isn't that kind of dangerous to be like, hey, there's death caps here? I feel like that should be like, hey, contact your local, I don't know what they would be called, some sort of local government group that deals with hazardous things in public. There's probably like a word or group name for them, but just anyone who deals with hazardous things out in the wild to try to help people not come into contact with them. Like, call them to come get these death caps out of there. Question mark.
She later admitted to foraging mushrooms in the Leongatha and Corumbra areas, though she denied traveling specifically to Locke to collect death caps. But when the pharmacist posted the sighting, Erin's devices showed she had accessed that information. Digital forensics revealed photos on her phone from April 2023 showing wild mushrooms being weighed on a scale. She also admitted to lying about having cancer and about other medical appointments, including a needle biopsy that never happened. She told the court she'd been too embarrassed to admit she was actually considering gastric bypass surgery for weight issues. Prosecutors argued that Erin had fabricated a cancer diagnosis to lure the family to lunch, mentioning a lump on her elbow to guests weeks in advance. She invited Simon and the 4 relatives, telling them she wanted to discuss a medical issue and how to break the news to her children. The children were sent to the cinema. Simon pulled out the night before, texting that he felt too uncomfortable attending.
Okay, so the kids were sent away so they wouldn't hear this. So never mind about the kids. Though Simon was supposed to be here, so that's one extra attempt.
Erin replied within 5 minutes. That's really disappointing. I've spent many hours this week preparing lunch for tomorrow. And spent a small fortune on beef I fillet to make beef Wellingtons because I wanted it to be a special meal, as I may not be able to host a lunch like this again for some time. It's important to me that you are all there tomorrow. Justice Christopher Beale later stated during sentencing, I am satisfied by July 16, 2023, when you unusually invited Simon, his parents, and aunt and uncle to a lunch without children to discuss your non-existent medical issue, and you did so with the intention of killing them all. Erin's trial began on April 29, 2025.
Yeah, I was assuming this is like something that happened recently because we were talking about 2023 previously. Yeah, so this is something that, well, the trial started in
At the
2025.
Supreme Court of Victoria, sitting in Morwell. She had requested the trial be held in Morwell rather than Melbourne, and it was approved. The jury comprised 15 people, 10 men and 5 women, with 3 designated as reserves, leaving 12 for deliberations. At trial, Erin was the defense's sole witness. She testified for 8 days, spending most of that time under cross-examination. She acknowledged that she and Simon had been separated between 2009 and 2015, but said their relationship had improved by 2023. She claimed the foraged mushrooms had ended up in the lunch due to a labeling mistake. She said she mixed store-bought dried mushrooms with foraged ones in a plastic container in her pantry, and when the mushroom paste seemed bland while preparing the beef Wellingtons, she added from that container without realizing what she was using. She denied deliberately cultivating death caps, purposely placing them in the dish, or weighing them to calculate fatal doses.
And it's all just like basic stuff. Of course, you're gonna deny trying to get rid of your family. I mean, duh.
She denied accessing the iNaturalist post about death caps, though the Crown presented reports showing her devices had accessed the site.
There's like too many things being like, okay, you are just like you're caught. Like you've gone to this website, you were seen in this location, you have the mushrooms, you have the dehydrator, you have this, and they can literally point to hard data that says all these things. So it's like, just give up at some point, right?
She disputed Ian Wilkins's testimony about the different colored plates, saying she simply picked up the last plate available. She denied making a 6th beef Wellington for Simon in case he attended. Prosecutors presented over 50 witnesses, including Simon Patterson, Ian Wilkinson, medical personnel, mycologists, toxicologists, digital forensics experts, and police.
Oh, I wanted to just stop on this picture here. It didn't really hit me until right now, seeing this old man by himself. But because 3 of the 4 died, that means it was 2 signs of grandparents, right? I don't know exactly who it all was, but now I'm assuming this guy's wife died in this, right? So it's you survived this, probably don't have that much time to live, right? Because your liver is destroyed as an elderly person, and your wife is gone forever, who you could have kept spending the rest of your life with, and now you're just here left alone at old age, on top of the other 2 who he might have been close with. I don't know, because I don't know what the relation of all of these 4 were. So yeah, this guy's life is just going to be just misery from here on out. Just seeing his face here, I was like, oh wait, his wife's gone, and possibly 2 of his friends. This guy's life is just ruined forever.
Ian Wilkinson, medical personnel, mycologists, toxicologists, digital forensics experts, and police. The court also heard video testimony from Erin's children. Her lawyer, Colin Mandy, told the jury the defense case is that she didn't intend to cause anyone any harm on that day.
Sure.
What happened was a tragedy and a terrible accident. But prosecutor Nanette Rogers painted a different picture, arguing Erin had employed 4 calculated deceptions. The fabricated cancer claim, the lethal doses of poison secreted in the meals, her attempts to make it seem she also suffered death cap poisoning, and the sustained cover-up to conceal the truth. Rogers didn't offer a specific motive, but noted, you don't have to know why a person does something in order to know they did it. After 9 weeks of evidence,
sure.
6 days of summing up, the jury deliberated for 6.5 days. On July 7th, 2025, they returned their verdict, guilty of 3 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder.
Okay, so for the guy who got to live, I said this still should have been a soft attempted murder for her husband, her ex-husband.
Erin Patterson, seated between 2 prison officers, showed no emotion, but blinked rapidly as the verdicts were read. Victim impact statements were heard on August 25th, 2025. Ian Wilkinson, who had lost his wife of 44 years, spoke movingly about his grief. I only feel half alive without her, he said in tears. Ian offered Erin forgiveness. In regards to the murder of Heather, Gail, and Dawn, I am compelled to seek justice. However, I encourage Erin to accept my offer of forgiveness for the harms done to me. My prayer for her is that she use her time in jail wisely to become a better person. Now she has become the victim of my kindness. On September 8th, 2025, Justice Christopher Beale handed down his sentence, life imprisonment. On parole period of 33 years. Erin would become eligible for parole in 2056, when she would be 81 years old. Justice Beale described the crime as an enormous betrayal of trust, and said he had no hesitation in finding that your offending falls into the worst category for the offenses of murder and attempted murder. He noted the devastating impact extended far beyond the direct victims. Not only did you cut short 3 lives and cause lasting damage to Ian Wilkinson's health, thereby devastating the extended Patterson and Wilkinson families, you inflicted untold suffering on your own children, whom you robbed of their beloved grandparents.
Yeah, again, the kids always get screwed whenever someone does something. Kids are screwed over. They lost their mom. They lost their grandparents, except for one, and he's going to be, leaving this existence pretty soon because of what this woman has done to him. Their dad is same thing with him. Who knows if what she has been doing to him all this time has shortened his life as well. So their mom's going to be in jail until she's 81. Their grandparents are all gone, and their dad is a ticking time bomb with how long he has left.
The case also brought attention to death cap mushrooms, which are responsible for most fatal mushroom poisonings worldwide. They are easily mistaken for edible varieties and grow in temperate regions including Australia, Europe, and North America. Following the case, public awareness campaigns aimed to educate communities about the risks. The trial attracted massive media attention. Local and international journalists descended on Morwell. Multiple daily podcasts followed proceedings, and several documentaries went into production. ABC confirmed it was developing a true crime drama series called Toxic, produced by Tony Ayers and written by Elise McCready. On October 2nd, 2025, Erin's barrister announced she would appeal the guilty verdicts. But 4 days later, on October 6th, the Victorian Director of Public Prosecutions also appealed. Both sides, it seemed, believed justice hadn't been fully served. Erin Patterson now serves her sentence at the Dame Phyllis Frost Centre in Western Melbourne, largely isolated for her own safety, with limited contact with other prisoners. She will likely remain in solitary confinement for years to come. This case leaves us a lesson. Trust is fragile, and darkness can hide behind ordinary moments, even in a family lunch around a table that should have been safe. It reminds us to pay attention to the subtle signs in our families, to the shadows in our communities, and to the stories we might not want to see. That is all for today. Thank you for watching.
This is the come on, you can't keep putting this guy's face on the the screen because it is actually making me kind of sad. Question mark. Yeah, that is that video. Again, as usual, it's just always the kids, right? The kids always get screwed over. Like, can we just stop having people who do bad stuff having kids too? Question mark. Again, how old were these kids? Because I can't tell how old the husband and well, the ex-husband and she was. How old she was. I assume they're like 40, 50, but she looks like she could be in her 50s. So it's like, how young are your children that they need to be taken care of still? And not adults already? Question mark. Again, look. Anyways, I've already said basically everything. You know, this guy's life is ruined. He barely has probably any more years left. He could have had who knows what, like another decade, maybe two, in him. Uh, with advances in science, they're trying to get us to live to 120 so they can milk us for all the labor that we can do in like jobs. So if modern medicine slash capitalism figures out how to make us live to 120, he could have been living to 120. Well, past 120, because again, like they want to try to get us to work until we're 120, right? I heard that somewhere. Take that with a grain of salt. So if we're like working to 120, like maybe we would still live past 120 with whatever they're trying to concoct, right? But yeah, now that's probably not going to happen for him. Uh, Again, his wife's gone. His two friends are gone. He's going to be gone soon. Dad, who knows how long he's going to live now. Mom's in jail. Again, just kids always get screwed. Hey guys, thanks. I keep saying hey guys, I cannot stop saying it. I've been saying it for 11 years, right? So it's just so hard to, not 11, 13 years, 14 years, actually, 14 years. It's just so hard to like stop saying that, but yeah. So yeah, cuties, thanks for watching. Remember to buy my stickers and then about becoming a member, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, so we're going to watch time and subscribers, and if we have a thrown down as well. And share to the members, EmmyStarr, RaleyDrew, and alexgkiller 880. But yeah, cuties, thanks for watching. Tune in to the next episode. Like, subscribe, comment. Another do. See ya.